Here we go.
Zelda finally here, performing for you.
If you know the words, you can join in too.
Put your hands together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap.
All right, what is happening, everybody? Welcome to episode number 19 of the Bards of Gaming podcast. If I sound very tired or quiet, it is because it is very early in the morning on a Saturday morning, and I have not had a lot of caffeine. I did not get a lot of sleep, and I'm trying to let my girlfriend sleep. But I am trying to get this out because I'm already a day late. I'm so sorry. To anybody who follows this podcast with regularity, you know that I try to drop this on Thursday nights or Friday morning, so that you guys can usually have something around to work with on Friday morning. But I have been super wrapped up with school and work, and things have just been absolutely crazy, but that does not stop me from trying to bring you guys the best content I possibly can. And today we are going to be covering the infamous iconic game that is Donkey Kong 64, which was brought to us on the Nintendo 64 way back in the day by the legendary development studio at Rare. And for any of you who don't know who Rare is, I'll give you a quick synopsis. They brought us some of the greatest platforming titles back in that generation, including Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, and a couple others. They also brought us I think they brought us 007 GoldenEye back on the Nintendo 64, and they also now have been working on Sea of Thieves for the last, 6 years. So they're an absolutely iconic studio, and I love talking about them. But this week, I'm going to be sitting down with my buddy Nick, who you may remember from way back in the episode 4, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time episode. We have a long history with this game together, and I have been very much looking forward to bringing you or expressing our feelings about this game with all of you since the very beginning of this little passion project of mine. So, yeah, we had a good time recording this episode. We have a lot of very, very strong feelings about this game, and I really, honestly, genuinely want to hear your feedback on this game, because I know that this is a very divisive title. A lot of people love it. A lot of people simply look at it through, nostalgia glasses, and a lot of people despise this game. And I totally understand why. Listen to the episode, you'll hear our feelings about it. We have a lot of love for this game. However, we also have a lot of feelings about this game. So that being said, I just want to jump in here and give a very exciting announcement. I'm thrilled to bring this to you finally. So I've been looking forward to finally announcing that starting today, June 1st, 2024, I am officially launching the very first t-shirt giveaway on this show. And I've been dying to do this for months now. The way that it's going to work, I've decided, is follow the podcast on Instagram at The Bards of Gaming and comment on the post for the t-shirt giveaway announcement. Comment with a game that you would like me to cover and tag 2 friends. So gaming's a big community. I'm sure we all have 2 friends, hopefully. Sometimes, I don't know. But this giveaway will span for the entire month of June. And I'll be at the end of June, I'm going to take all of the names of everybody who's, commented and followed, whatever. And I'm going to take all of their Instagram handles and pretty much enter it into a randomizer that I'll find online. Basically drawing your name from a hat. And once everybody's name is nice and in a hat, I will be drawing the winner, and I will reach out to the winner in your DMs for information on how to ship out your t-shirt to you, including, t-shirt size, address, whatever, like PO box, whatever you need me to send it to. And in addition to that, I'm also going to include the winner. I'm going to offer, if you would like to be a guest on an episode of the show to discuss your favorite game, I will do everything in my power to make that happen. Whatever game you want to cover, I will, as long as it hasn't already been covered on the show, I'll do my best to go out, play that game, and we can cover it together and have a great time. And I would love to interact with anybody listening to the show. I absolutely love you guys. I have so much fun doing this, and I really genuinely do enjoy hearing from you guys, and I've gotten really nothing but support for the show, and you guys are just incredible, honestly. So so in conclusion, I'm sorry, I just woke up too, so bear with me. So yeah, I will be entering all the information or all of your names into a hat, drawing from the hat. I will reach out to you, and I will ask you, how to ship it to you, what your shirt size is, whatever, as well as I will invite you onto an episode of the show to talk about whatever game you'd like. So I really look forward to interacting with you and looking forward to seeing what games you all come up with. So that being said, what I've been playing lately, if any of you care, is recently I've just been playing Super Mario or Paper Mario Thousand Year Door whenever I get the chance. Like I said, I just wrapped up with a probabilities course in college, and I suck at statistics, so that took a lot of my mental capacity for the last couple weeks. It's been just crazy on my end, not to mention with work and everything. And for those of you who don't know, I work in construction, and I'm a senior service tech in a very niche field. It's a lot sometimes, but it's fun. I like it. I like my job. But yeah, so anyway, this is dragging on. I'm rambling, and I would like to get to the show, but that's pretty much it. I don't have a whole lot to announce this week. I just wanted to throw out there the announcement of the giveaway and the fact that we are going to be covering an iconic game today. So with that being said, sit back, relax, enjoy, drink your coffee like I'm about to do, and enjoy the show. See you in there. All right, so this week we are going to be discussing Donkey Kong 64. Welcome one, welcome all, and we are joined again with my good buddy, my best friend, Nick, who, if you are a consistent listener of the show, you'll recognize him from the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time podcast. Buddy, how you doing?
Rob, I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to be back.
Dude, happy to have you. And I know that this game, Donkey Kong 64, is one that you and I have both been very much looking forward to covering, and you and I have some personal history with this game.
Oh, so do we have personal history?
But before we get into any of that, as with anybody, before we begin this review discussion slanderous podcast for this game, how did you find this game? What was your original experience with this game?
Oh, believe it or not, I actually borrowed this game from you back when we were kids. I remember borrowing it from you one day, and it was a lot of fun, to say the least. I do remember us actually. You were upset with me that one time because you guys thought that I erased your file, but that's like the core memories that I have surrounding this game growing up.
I mean, and that's all water under the bridge. But that's I didn't realize that was me. I didn't realize that me lending it to you was your first time playing this game. I thought maybe you had like a Blockbuster rental, or maybe it's somehow you had it as a kid. But
borrowed it from you, buddy.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we might have done a trade. I think I got like Rugrats in Paris, which let's be honest, that might be a better game. We're going. I know just from the beginning, I can say this now. We're gonna shit on this game a lot. There's a lot we love about this game, but we are going to give this game a hell of a ride. And a big reason why the save file debacle is such water under the bridge now is because a few years after that, I want to say maybe when we were, I don't know, 18, 17, whatever, we decided that we were going to start doing like retro gaming playthroughs together. And we were going to, because we lived right around the corner from each other. And at that time, we actually had free time. So I remember you and I going through games like Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, and games that we had started playing when we were kids, but never were able to finish, had a really hard time. So we decided to start going through them together. This was one of them. This was one of our first and also one of our last. But yeah, I remember you and I decided to sit down and begin playing this game with such optimism. Those poor fools.
What were we thinking?
Oh, man. I mean, to be fair, this game I don't even know. I don't even know where to start with this because it's. I have a lot of love for it still to this day. I know you do too, but boy, we're gonna rip this one apart. So to jump into the podcast, I guess to jump into the discussion about this game, we'll begin as we always do with any dislikes we may have for the game, and I'm gonna give you the microphone and let you kick it off. What is something about this game that absolutely drives you insane?
The controls.
Really?
Controls are very janky. It's like they're not only that, but there are a lot of levels where it puts you in a very precarious situation where it's very easy to fall off a ledge or a path.
That's yeah.
So those things in combination, it is very hard to control sometimes. I mean, overall, the variety of controls and moves that you can do with each of the Kongs, it's we'll get into that when we talk about the legs for the game. But other than that, it's those are the big things that I can't stand is like the controls themselves. It can be very hard sometimes.
Yeah. I think that what they were at the time, especially being on the alien abomination that was the Nintendo 64 controller. Because for anybody who doesn't understand, to those who don't know, this game, Donkey Kong 64, was released on the Nintendo 64. So the controller for the N64 was notorious for being just a nightmare in a lot of regards. But also, this is at a time when there were really no standardized control schemes for anything. And I'll go as far as to say that I know for a lot of Nintendo 64 platformers, especially the rare platformers like Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, a lot of them followed a very similar control scheme. So, and anybody who was playing it at that time might have been, the controller was familiar to us in our brain at that time. If I had to go back and play this game now, I would absolutely agree with you. It's fucking hot garbage.
Oh, absolutely. And even like I was telling you before we started recording, I plugged in my N64 and I fired up this game for the first time, probably since we played it last night, to
You
to
poor
play through
fool.
this or attempt to play through it again.
Yeah. Dude, I remember, like, I don't know what it was specifically about this game. The climbing of the trees always bothered me. I don't know if it's the camera angle, and that's another thing I'll definitely shit on is the camera in this game, as really with any N64 game, is just awful. But I remember always having trouble with the climbing of the trees because you had to be precise enough to when you jump to grab the tree, and then when as you're climbing it, it's not really an issue. You're circling around it, but the camera, you don't really know because you climb up this tree and then or a rope or whatever it is that you're climbing up, and then you have to jump off of it in any given direction to land on another platform. That was bullshit because you're not able to turn the camera it's before the days of twin stick controls. So you're not able to just easily move the camera, and you're able to circle around the tree, but unless you have a good angle to do so, you don't know where you're going to be jumping off to.
Right.
And sorry anybody who hears anything annoying. My bird is eating my keyboard as I try to record this podcast. So, do you have any other?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask if you had any other input on that or any other gripes you wanted to highlight.
Oh yeah, I was gonna agree with you that the camera controls are absolute garbage. But it does have one redeeming quality though, the fact that when you're playing it on the N64 controller, if you hit the R button, it will center the controller, not the controller, the camera, right behind where you're going, and it will stay like fixed behind you. So even if your camera does get kind of wonky, it'll at least do that to be able to recenter it. And a lot of these older games, and they did that.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, you had the Z button that did that. So, and again, it goes back to what you're saying is there was no universal control scheme.
Yeah. I think if you were to try to go from playing Super Mario 64 to Donkey Kong 64, to Zelda Ocarina of Time, you're gonna probably throw your controller through a wall. Because especially if for whatever godforsaken reason you're playing those three games kind of at the same time, jumping back and forth, there's no way you're gonna remember the controls.
No, not at all.
But I mean, I'll jump in here and say a couple of my gripes if that's all right.
By all means.
And this kind of feeds in with the with the control scheme and the cameras. So some of the boss fights in this game.
Oh
now,
boy, here we go.
There's a couple things I'm going to quickly highlight here, and then we can go back to in greater detail. Bucky, please stop eating my keyboard. But so in this game, every major boss fight in each level, it has this door that it's a separate room. And for those of you who have played the game, you know what I'm talking about. You have to collect a certain amount of bananas, and you have 5 characters that you can collect, all of their individual colors of bananas and then donate them to this door. And as you need something like 300 bananas or something like that, or 500 bananas, 800 bananas, whatever the hell it is, in order to gain access to go into this boss fight. And once you get into the boss fight, then it's this big, cinematic experience, big boss fight. But the one that sticks out in my mind is actually the Jack in the Box from the Frantic Factory level, which, depending on how you go about playing this game, I believe that's the 3rd level. But it's King K. Rool. It's on King K. Rool's ship island, and you have to play this boss fight as Tiny Kong. And the boss fight is you're fighting this giant Jack in the Box clown monster thing. And this was the most infuriating boss fight for me, besides the final boss. And because you are on, it's like a grid pattern of separated grids, and some of them will, I believe, electrocute you, but some of them you have to be on specifically to hit a button. It just, if you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But as Tiny Kong, you're able to essentially glide from platform to platform, because if you fall in between these grids, you fall to your death instantly. And if your camera angle for whatever reason or another is not right behind you, and this is a very fast-paced boss fight because you have this thing that's jumping from platform to platform trying to smash you, and you need to keep moving. But if you don't know exactly how many grids or like what grid you're on, you could be at the end of the grid. You could be at the end of the map and you don't know it. And all of a sudden you just jump to your death trying to get away from this thing. So the camera angle, I will say that that is the biggest reason why this boss fight for me is an absolute nightmare. So that's just my one gripe, is that particular boss fight in Frantic Factory. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yes, I do. That one gave us a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And it being one of the earliest bosses in the game, you kind of surprising. Like, the controls in this game, overall, I think for me, aren't that horrible, but the camera in combination with the controls is what makes it horrendous. But do you have anything else? I have a few other gripes. I have 6 written down in total, and that's probably not even touching everything that I want to talk about in this game. But do you have anything else you wanted to highlight?
Let's see. The only other thing that I want to highlight is the obscene amount of collectibles that this game has.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, like, that was the style of game at the time, and Rare especially, they love their collectathon games.
Yeah.
You have Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, all of these games with multiple collectibles in every single world.
Yeah.
But Donkey Kong 64 really ramps it up because you have 4 or 5 different collectibles multiplied by 5.
Well, let's break that down for a second, because you have all the different colored bananas. So for each character, and I'm gonna just branch off of what you're saying there to describe this. There are 5 different playable characters, and each one of those characters has a different color that corresponds with that character. So you'll have, for each different character, you have coins you have to collect. You have bananas you have to collect. You have, depending on the character, there's different other challenges you have to do as well. So because there's different barrels, there's barrel challenges you have to collect. There's fighting arena challenges you have to do with different characters. So there's so many, and like there's the crowns from the fighting challenges. There's golden banana challenges you have to do with specific characters. There's all the different colored bananas, all the different colored coins. There's too much. There is just way too much. And you and I spoke about this before we started recording, that there is a total of 3,821 collectible items throughout this entire game.
That's right. And
And you said
3,500 of it is just the colored bananas.
Yeah, and that is absurd. Because I think you need the bananas in order to get into the boss fights. Because you have to feed the pig or the hippo or whatever.
Yes.
So you need the bananas to get into the boss fights, and then you need the coins in order to upgrade your character when you get to Funky or Cranky or whoever you need to get the upgrade from. And I don't remember what the fighting crowns do. I don't remember what the point is of collecting them.
I don't know either, but you also missed one. Don't forget the banana medals as well.
That's true. And is that from the Banana Fairies?
No, you get the banana medals from collecting 75 of the colored bananas from each Kong.
Oh, right. And then let's not forget this one either, and you're going to love this one, but the blueprints.
Oh, the blueprints.
The blueprints is another thing that I have written down as one of my gripes. And so in addition to the banana fairies, the fighting crowns, the coins, the bananas, the everything that you have to do, there are these there's an enemy type in this game. I believe they're called Kersplats, and they're these big, they look like hedgehogs, kind of like they're like hedgehogs on steroids. And each one of them in different levels have different colored hair. And again, their colored hair corresponds with who you need to use to defeat them. So once you defeat them for the first time, once you defeat them with the correct character, you only have to do it once, really. Then they drop a blueprint, which you have to bring to this character named Snide. I don't remember. Snide, yeah. So you have to bring him to him, and then he is piecing together a blueprint for some destructo laser thing, which, again, to anybody who hasn't played this game all the way to the end, and that's probably the majority of people who've played this game, there's actually a benefit to collecting all of those blueprints. And the more blueprints that you collect, the more time you have to escape the countdown bomb sequence at the end of the game. I don't know if you knew about that, but
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So if you collect like none, I think you have like 40 seconds or something like that. But if you collect all of them, you have like 10 minutes. So that's just a very annoying additional collectible you have to get. But yeah, they definitely went overboard when implementing the collectibles for this game. Do you have any other ones?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think I pretty much hit all the ones that I can think of off the bat. We'll probably hit a couple more in time as they come up.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm good.
I got a couple I can list. Okay, I got a couple I can list off, and please feel free to jump in with any opinion, because I'll ramble if you don't cut me off.
Absolutely.
And one of them I know that I'm going to criticize here, and I know that you're definitely... I wouldn't be surprised if you have input on this one, but the mandatory retro arcade game completions.
Oh, how could I forget about that? I thought we were going to talk about that in its own little segment, but absolutely, go ahead.
Nah, man, I think this is for you, because I never could beat them.
Yeah. So,
go off.
For anyone who doesn't know, there are two separate spots in the game I believe there's one. There's one in Frantic Factory, and I forget where the other
Yeah,
one is.
it's
But
at
I know for a
Cranky's.
fact. Oh, it is?
Yeah, the jetpack game is at Cranky.
Okay. All right. So the jetpack game in Cranky's lab, and there's one cabinet in Frantic Factory. One of them, as we mentioned, is like this moon jetpack game where you have to, get a certain score, and then you get a coin. The other is it is a playable original Donkey Kong game in the game.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the game did it tell you that you needed to have both of these coins
Yeah.
that you get in these games to get to the final boss.
Yeah.
Nowhere says it.
No. Not until you get to the very end.
Yeah, we get to the very end, and oh, you can't get in here until you have these two coins. Like, what?
Yeah.
So
And it
we
doesn't
ended up-
even tell you that completing these games gives you these coins.
Yeah, no. So we go back, we play these games. Well, we both attempt it, and I end up beating them.
Thank God.
Yeah, and then we finally go back, and we're able to enter the final boss fight. But the biggest gripe about that is, why would you have a requirement to beat the game, or at least get to the end of the game, and not tell anybody about it?
Yeah. Yeah, because you come across the original Donkey Kong cabinet, like I said, in like the third level. So, because I have it fourth level. No, it is World 3. I have it up on the wiki in front of me. The first level is DK Isles, that's the hub, and then you get Jungle Japes, Angry Aztec, and Frantic Factory. So you come across it in World 3, Frantic Factory. And you see it, and you're kind of like, oh, that's a cool Easter egg. Like, that's exactly what we thought when we went through this game. We're like, oh, that's a cool Easter egg. Like, you can play the original Donkey Kong. Ha, ha, ha. And then you don't see anything about it again. You just kind of think it's a cool Easter egg from the developers until you finally work your way all the way through Hideout Helm and you get to the final door where you have to provide, however many golden bananas, as well as now there's two indents in the door for something that's kind of in the shape of an N64, or it shows you the coin. I'm sorry. And you're kind of like, where the fuck are these in the game? Like, I've played through this entire game, top to bottom. I've never even heard of these. It doesn't say it in the collectibles menu of the pause menu, nothing. So I remember we Googled it, and it's like, oh, you have to play through this, original rare arcade game that nobody's ever heard of. And then you also have to play through the entirety of Donkey Kong, the original Donkey Kong game. But there's another caveat to that. You don't just have to play through the original Donkey Kong game. You have to play through it twice.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, because you beat it, but you play through 3 levels of the original Donkey Kong game, which, by the way, I suck ass at. It's not easy, and I don't like it. And so, thankfully, Nick was with me, and he is a phenomenal gamer, so he beat it. And then we're like, oh, okay, cool, we're done. Where's the coin? Back to Google. Oh, you have to beat it a second time on a ramped up difficulty. You have no choice. You want to beat this game? You got to beat that game. Dude, I remember the look of defeat on our faces when we read that. We're like, this is some bullshit right here.
I still try to block it out to this day.
Dude, that was... how long did it take us? It took us a few hours to get through all of that. And I mean, that's including the other retro game as well. It took us a few consecutive hours of sitting there grinding these old arcade games and figuring out their exact patterns of timing and whatnot. And I'm amazed we got it done that fast.
Yeah. I would say it was at least like 2 hours that we were sitting there trying to figure all this out.
Yeah, and I remember we found a glitch in the in that Astro arcade game, the Cranky's one. Well, it was something like if you just flew across the top of the screen indefinitely or whatever, like I forget exactly what you did, but you have to make something like 10,000 points or 100,000 points. Like I forget what the line is, but you have to reach a certain score in order to unlock the collectible. And then I think you also not only have to make the score, but you have to beat the game. It's an
That's right.
absolute it's an absolute brick wall from the developers. If you can't figure these games out, you're done. You're not beating the game. So, yeah, that's one of my major gripes about this game. um, the only other last gripe I have, if you have nothing else to add to that one, but do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. Just the fact that there was nothing mentioned that these coins were required until you get to the very end.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was infuriating.
yeah. And I have it written down in my dislikes bulletin, too much backtracking, and I think that having mentioned the 3,821 total collectibles, as well as knowing that you have to now backtrack in order to collect both of those coins, that kind of covers that one. But the last thing that I really wanted to touch base on with my dislikes category is the barrel mini games.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's the one where you have to chase around those little things with the fly swatter. That's broken as fuck. Then you have the one mini game with the mine carts. That's broken as fuck. They shoehorned in these mini games that you can find sporadically throughout the level, and they're in barrels, as is anything with the Donkey Kong franchise. But they are so beyond frustrating. And then not only are they frustrating, if you happen to finish them, you're like, oh, okay, cool, great, that's over with. No, they repeat themselves down the line. So you have to do, if there's one mini game that you don't like, but it's required mandatory in order to progress in the game, you just got to know that you're going to have to do that at least 2 more times. So good fucking luck.
Yeah, because not only with this game, but all N64 games at the time, any sort of adventure game, they like doing things in threes.
Yeah.
So usually every boss battle takes 3 hits to kill, although sometimes that can vary. But in this case, like you said, if you hate a mini game, you're gonna have to do it at least 3 times throughout the course of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for anybody who wants a more in-depth review about what it takes in order to beat or complete this game, I do highly recommend you go and check out The Completionist. He covered this game a couple of times. He's a prolific YouTuber in the world of especially retro gaming and game completion. So go give him go check out his videos on this game, and you'll see a more in-depth review of what we're talking about. But yeah, it's like a lot of these mini games, they're too hard. And I understand, and I know you understand as well, that the games back then had to be more difficult because they needed to last longer. But this is a 100+ hour game for all the wrong reasons. And it is that long of a game, I would say, because I don't even remember what our... Do you have the save file that we played on, or was that on my copy?
I feel like I probably did, but I don't know. Like I fired up the game last night. I have 2 save files. One's got actually, yeah, I think one's got like 50 hours on it or something like that.
Yeah. I would say justifiably this is probably like, if you're not a guru at gaming, it's probably a 70-hour game. If you're really trying to go for a lot of the stuff, it's probably a good 50 to 70-hour game. But
Yeah, that's all right.
yeah, because you only need out of there are 201 golden bananas in this game that you can go out and collect. Out of the 201, and I actually have this listed as a like, but I'm going to say it right now, you only needed 75 in order to get to the final stage, the final boss, and beat the game. You only needed 75. If you wanted to get a secret bonus cutscene at the end, you wanted to collect all 201, but then you also have to go and collect fucking everything, which is just way too much. But yeah, that's really all I have for the dislikes. Do you have anything else that's come to mind, or anything else you wanted to touch base on before we jump into the next category?
Yeah, just thinking about it now, like you were saying, with the total bananas that you need to complete the game versus the total that you have to collect. Thinking about it now, if you remember, Super Mario 64 was exactly the same way. There was 101 or like 121 some odd total stars, and you really only needed, I think, about that many, like 70 or 75
Yeah.
to get the final Bowser. So that, again, that was a trope that was prevalent in the other games of the era as well.
Yeah, and even to today's standards, like in Super Mario Odyssey, there's what like 999 moons in the game, but you only needed fucking half of that to finish it.
Right.
But if that's all you have for gripes regarding Donkey Kong 64, I think right now I'm actually going to put in a little bit of an intermission, and after the music is done, we'll come back and we'll talk about what we like about the game. What do you think?
Sounds good to me, buddy.
All right, awesome. All right, and we are back, and I'd say we just jump straight into what we actually like about this game because it's not all doom and gloom. It's this is actually in a lot of ways a very fun game, and I do still hold it in a high regard for a lot of reasons. So why don't we jump into that?
That sounds good to me.
All right, I'm gonna hand off the microphone to you, and you start us off. What do you actually like about this game?
Well, first and foremost, and I know you're probably going to agree with this, the
Mhm.
music.
Absolutely.
The music in this game is incredible. Rare did a very good job of making each world feel not only like unique to Donkey Kong, but it really did utilize the best of what was available at the time.
Yeah.
From DK Isles to being like that kind of like calm, like serene, like feeling like you're on a tropical island somewhere.
Yeah.
To, Angry Aztecs and Jungle Japes, they all have like their own unique vibe and their own unique feel. Like, even to this day, like, I will find myself just randomly thinking about the music from Jungle Japes, and I will put that on YouTube and just listen to it just because it's so well done.
Dude, it's so good. And the
And coming from
composer, I'm sorry, was that?
coming from a percussionist background, like the heavy influence of the drums, it's phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about the music in this game.
Yeah, the composer, Grant Kirkhope, he's responsible for a lot of the most popular, I would say, um, video game soundtracks of that era. So he did Banjo-Tooie, he did Banjo-Kazooie, and he's even still active to this day. He's done Kingdoms of Amalur, and he does Mario plus Rabbids, and he's done a lot. And he is such a phenomenal composer. And I will say, Donkey Kong 64 is without a doubt some of his best work.
Absolutely.
With all of the different instruments and just everything that he's done, he was able to portray so much emotion, and he was really able to manipulate the way that you felt when playing this game. Because, I mean, like you said, in levels such as Jungle Japes, it's a jungle, but it's not scary. When you go into the area where it's like raining and then the soundtrack changes, the music changes, and that was fucking redundant, but the weather changes, the lighting changes, the music changes, and all of a sudden the soundtrack follows into a way where you now feel like you're on your toes. Or when you're inside of Frantic Factory again, and he actually uses, like, I can't think of what the word is actually called, but like a wind-up toy.
Okay.
Like the way that sounds when you're winding up a toy robot or something like that. Like, that is part of the soundtrack. He's using all of these different elements in order to create the music that is putting you on edge or making you feel relaxed, which is what a good soundtrack should do. So I absolutely agree with you. And then yeah, like when you step into out of whatever world you're in, it's back into DK Isles. You're relaxing. It's serene. It's a tropical island. He really did a phenomenal job. I will 100% agree. And I could go more deep dive into this. Now, I don't have a musical background per se, so I don't know all the technical terminology for it, but I can absolutely attest to the feeling that this game gives you when the music changes. Gloomy Galleon is another good one, or Creepy Castle.
Yeah, it's fantastic. To not to quote you, but I'm quoting you. The music
Okay.
itself, it's charming. Like it is 100% charming.
Yeah.
And to reiterate what I said was every area has its own unique feel. Like even when you're just walking into a cave in one of the levels, it's it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, the way that they've been able to manipulate the player's emotions and their mindset when playing this game in different aspects, and when you're doing the mini games. And I'll say this, I forget, is it the one with the mine carts where you're also like avoiding explosive TNT mine carts?
Yes.
And
Yes.
as the timer counts down, and as well with the fly swatter one, when the timer begins to count down, the music begins to ramp up, and it's just like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think this game is the reason I have an anxiety disorder as an adult. But yeah, the soundtrack is 100% phenomenal, and you can find his, if you look up Grant Kirkhope on any platform, Apple Music or Spotify, whatever, you can find his discography, and I highly recommend you check it out. There's so much amazing work that he's done with the video game industry. So, yeah, soundtrack definitely a top like for this game. And to go along with the soundtrack and the way that it helps build the level design throughout this game, I will also talk about and bring up my next like, which is the level themes, the theming, the way that they've actually laid out these levels and designed them. And it feels like you're in Disney, with how well that they've just top to bottom made everything so perfect. And this is going back to 1990, what, 7?
I believe so.
It's like 97 or 98, I think. And because I think Banjo-Tooie came out in 2000. Banjo-Kazooie actually predates this. So this might have been like 98 or 99.
1999.
Okay. So this is not a game with the graphical capabilities of today. Not even close. But so much of this game is honestly just so pretty to look at, or so eerie to look at. The way that they built DK Isle, it is relaxing. It's beautiful. It's pretty. It's fun. But it also, everything is designed in a way that they incentivize you to explore it. You want to explore more. You wonder what's around every corner. Nothing, there's so many hidden objects, top and bottom. What's behind this wall? What's behind this door? And the way that just, I don't know, every theme of each different level, the way that it's all laid out, I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And actually, the level design and level variety and theming, that was actually another one of my likes as well. Because again, tying back into what I was saying about the music, each area is so unique. It's immersive. It's as
Yeah.
immersive as it could be for a game that's over 20 years old at this point.
Yeah. What would you say? I'm going to ask you two separate questions here now. What would you say for music is your favorite level, and what would you say your favorite level is just for the design of it?
Well, I kind of already touched on that. Is my favorite music is Jungle James,
Okay.
because like I told you, I find myself pulling that up and listening to it on YouTube every now and again, just because it's so well done.
Yeah. It's a great one. So what about
As
for level design?
as for level design, um, as much of a pain as it is, I would say, I would say probably Angry Aztecs is one of my favorite levels, just because there's so much to it. There's so much depth. There's multiple temples that you have to go into with every Kong, which again kind of also ties back into your gripe about backtracking.
Mm,
But it's they made the most out of all of the assets in the level.
yeah, and I'm actually going to agree with you on Angry Aztec being my favorite level to go to for the actual level design. It's it's done so well in a way that a lot of the rest of the levels in this game feel very tight, if that makes sense. There's a lot of hallways, a lot of corridors, a lot of rooms you have to find. It's very puzzle-esque, or maze-esque, I should say. But the Angry Aztec, I like it because it's very open, especially out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if that one world has its own hub world. I want to say that's probably one of the bigger levels in this game, but it's also, I would agree, it's my favorite as well. Because it's so open. It's, even though everything wants to kill you there, the sand, the enemies, whatever. Also, there's a perk of being able to fly around that level openly with Diddy on his jetpack.
Yeah, I agree. That was actually one of the places that I stopped yesterday. Well, not necessarily, but I stopped a little bit after I got Diddy's jetpack barrel.
Yeah.
So
And being that it is one of the earliest levels in the game, it is World 2. You will find yourself going back to it quite a bit, especially as you progress through the game and you unlock the different characters. Because this game is very Metroidvania, it's very much like that, where once you unlock a new ability, now you want to go back through every single level that you've visited so far with this new ability to see what other secrets and things you can unlock. Which brings me back to the shitty backtracking. There's way too fucking much of it.
right.
But yeah, Angry Aztec, you will see a lot of it. You'll see it many times, but it is definitely one of the ones that's a pleasure to go back to. So,
I agree with you.
as for me with the what's my favorite soundtrack? Oh, buddy. I kind of want to say Fungi Forest, actually.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I very much liked Fungi Forest, and I like the dichotomy of Fungi Forest where when you change from day to night, it changes. I thought that was a really great implementation.
Yeah, and even with going back to level design too, that is a great feature.
Yeah,
To have certain areas gated off and inaccessible just depending on the time of day. That's that's brilliant.
yeah, I agree. It was done very well. For me personally, it drove me insane. It didn't drive me crazy enough to put it on my dislikes category, but it's one of those ones where it's like I like it because it adds a bit of puzzle element to it. You have to think about, where you're going to visit and when, but changing it from day to night sequence also changes the enemy layout, and there's a lot of differences between. It's almost like getting, two levels in one. But I will say, I'll hold it. Do you have any other likes you wanted to point out?
Not really. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, if you have more, I could probably offshoot of anything that you say.
Okay. One thing that I will give some love to, I actually didn't write it down, but I just thought of it as I was looking at the worlds, is the fast travel system that they give you on DK Isle.
Oh yes, the banana ports.
What a time saver. Because especially with how much backtracking this game makes you do, the fact that they give you, it's a two-way fast travel system around the hub world, that chef's kiss.
And even in the
I love
worlds
it.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the worlds inside the worlds they actually do also have the same kind of fast travel system, which is it's just such a time saver. How the hell do we have how do we have Donkey Kong 64 from 1999 with a phenomenal two-way fast travel system, but then we have fucking Jedi Fallen Order where you have to literally walk and slide and jump and climb everywhere you want to go? I don't know. That's just me.
I don't know.
I'm
And
gonna bring I'll bring that up with the other Nick.
sounds good. But also on that same point, the theming of it too. It wasn't campy in a way. Like they tied it all in. It's like, oh yeah, you're being transported via a giant banana. Like
Yeah.
that makes sense.
It's perfect for this game.
Yeah, no monkey business when it comes to getting around the island.
Love it. And that's this game. Even though this game is full of monkey business, as you just said, like this game does focus a lot on comedy, and they don't take themselves too seriously. And you can tell that straight off the bat with what I want to point out as maybe not a like or a dislike. I don't know how I feel about it honestly, but the DK rap.
That is its own thing in and of itself. It's. Do you mind if I go off for a second?
Please do.
The DK rap. That is. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm sure we're gonna get to that in a minute, but I love it. Like it's so bad, but it's so good, and it's charming in its own right.
Absolutely.
And it's for someone who has never played the game before. Realistically, it's a great introduction to a lot of like concepts and moves and characters in the game that you're going to run into.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you watch through it all the way, it highlights, the different shooters that or at least that the Kongs get different shooters. The musical instruments, the just general special techniques. It's great in its own right, but at the same time, who would have thought of that?
Yeah, it does a lot of really great foreshadowing for what's to come in the game. The only thing that I wish we got in the game that we didn't from the DK rap was Chunky Kong in an afro and like platform shoes.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's
straight up disco
that
Chunky.
was something.
I loved it. I can't stand the DK rap in a lot of ways. I love it, but it's like it is so bad. It's so cheesy. It's 90s, but it's like I don't know. It's so funny. If you've never played the game, like you said, but you want to experience that, it's on YouTube. It's absolutely on YouTube. Other than that, I mean, the two other likes that I have written down is the character comedy, and that ties a lot into the DK rap because each character in this game. What's up?
No, so okay, go on.
Yeah, each character in this game very much does have their own personality. And they are kind of explained and highlighted to you in the DK rap, and then you get to see it even more as you progress through the game. So, like, you have Donkey Kong, obviously, who we all know as being, like, the cool cucumber from the group. He is the leader, he's the boss. But then you have Diddy Kong, who's kind of like a rebellious teenager. He plays an electric guitar, skateboards, flies a jetpack, whatever. Then you have Tiny Kong, who I'm not even going to try to focus on the lineage and the family tree of this game. I don't know who is who to who. But Tiny Kong is just kind of like, I don't know, cute little girl, monkey with pigtails. She can fly around with the pigtails. And then you get Lanky Kong, who is the clumsy, goofy looking member. He's an orangutan. And he's just got these long, stretchy arms. He's kind of like a monkey rubber band. But then you got Chunky Kong, Big Chungus, who he's a massive brute. Like he's just this big brute of a character, but he's also like the nicest guy. Like he plays a little triangle, and like he's just like it's adorable.
Oh, he has a triangle.
Yeah, yeah. What does Tiny Kong play again? Because Diddy's got the guitar, Donkey's got the bongos, Lanky has the trombone.
Tiny has the saxophone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She plays the saxophone. It's just so good the way that every character really does have their own personality and the way that they, express it throughout the game. It's a lot of fun. But if you've got anything else to touch on with that, I'll just jump into my last what I like about the game.
No, by all means. Like I said, I'll piggyback and comment off of whatever you say because, as we've talked about, I have nothing but love for this game, even though it's very rage-inducing.
Yeah. The last thing I really want to touch.
Talk about the last section,
Which what?
which we'll talk about like the final rage section, well in the last section before we rate it, right?
Oh yeah. We'll definitely talk about everything we want
How
to
can
touch
we
base
not?
on. Yeah.
All right, continue.
So I mean, the last thing I really want to touch on before we talk, jump into the next section, just kind of like wrap things up and give it a rating is, I do enjoy the upgrade system. So I've never really been one to play a lot of Metroidvanias. Like I've never played through a Metroid game, shoot me if you will. I've never played through a Castlevania game, but I do enjoy games that provide to you an upgrade system that encourages you to go back and explore more. So this game being an exception because it's just too much. But I love the fact that like, okay, you're looking, you find, Funky Kong's hut and he gives you a gun or an upgrade or whatever. You find Cranky Kong and he gives you a new ability. You find, was it Daisy?
Andy.
Candy, yeah. You find her and she gives you, the fuck does she give? She gives you instruments, right?
Yeah, she gives you the instruments, and she also upgrades your health.
Right.
So, for example, in Angry Aztecs, when you first get the musical instruments, the first Kong that you go into with her, she'll give you an extra melon of health.
Yeah. And the soundtrack that plays in her hut is exciting.
Oh, it's exciting. It is definitely something. It's not something that you would expect from a kid's game.
No, I remember being a kid. I remember being like 6 years old, and like it was an awakening. But yeah, no, I very much enjoy the upgrade system and the different ways that they implement giving you more in the way that you progress. The pacing of the game, I will say, is actually very well done. Like the way that it provides you a challenge, until you find the next upgrade or the next, area or whatever. I think the pacing of it is very well done.
Yes.
So that's all I gotta say for that. And now I'm ready to wrap up the game and talk about what we slightly touched base on there. But I'll give you the microphone. Please take it away.
Okay. So, we touched on it before, where you need to have those 2 special coins to get to the final boss fight.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happens after you get to the other side of that door, shall we?
Yeah, please.
So the final boss fight of this game. So for anyone who doesn't know, the main villain of the Donkey Kong franchise is King K. Rool. He's basically a cracked out alligator with like an eye bugging out of his head, and he's just he's a sight to behold.
Oh yeah.
The final boss fight of this game is your fight with K. Rool, and it is probably one of the most rage-inducing moments that we had in the game, comparable to getting those stupid coins, especially after we went to fight K. Rool after we got those coins. We didn't take a break. We're just like, all right, cool, we can go beat the game now.
So we thought. Yeah.
So how this boss fight goes is there's 5 different stages where, as you may have guessed, we have to fight K. Rool using each different Kong.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't seem terrible. It's the fact of if you die.
When you die.
Yes, when you die, it restarts you back to the very beginning of the fight. So you could be 4 out of 5 Kongs in, and you could die, and it'll reset you back to 1, the very
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah, it is a gauntlet of a boss fight where it is the final culmination of everything that you have learned and done up to this point, all put into one big boss fight that you cannot fail. And I think
remember.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that when you change characters, does your health refill or does it stay at whatever you've lost it to?
That I don't remember, if I'm being honest.
I want to say it stays. I don't remember. I'm not even gonna pull that one out of my butt because I don't remember because we never beat it.
Yeah, it got to the point where, and this was actually where I was about to go, was it probably took us maybe about a half a dozen tries before we decided that we were done with this game and we were just going to YouTube how it ends. And the fact that we were so close.
Yeah.
When we YouTubed how to finish the boss fight, we were both saying it was like, that was it. Like that's how you beat the game. And even then, the ending was so anticlimactic too. Like you get through the boss fight and it's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, like we sat and mind you, each attempt that we had for this boss fight was a good 10 to 20 minutes of an attempt. So we were at this for a few hours, and we did give it a good half a dozen attempts at least. And it was at a point it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, like, we had to call it quits because we had to work the next day or whatever. And we were so close, we could taste it. Like we were at the final boss, and I think I failed the last attempt on the last character I had to do it as. And that's when we kind of just said, fuck it, YouTube it. And yeah, I remember I was sitting there at the end of it, like after we watched, the final boss fight, and we're like, okay, and then it goes into the final cutscene, and we sat there and it's kind of just like that can't be it. Like I know it's not, Xbox 360 days where we were expecting an achievement, but like, come on. After all of that, it's like, oh, now everything is just happy and here's, the guy sitting on a beach, like, congratulations. What? Yeah, that kind of pissed me off.
I think that probably would have been more incentive for us to get all, what was it, 201 golden bananas? Because I feel like in hindsight, there probably would have been a secret ending if you had gotten all the golden bananas, but I'm not sure.
Well, there is. Yeah, if you actually go ahead and if you manage to collect all 201 golden bananas, there is another secret ending. But and as someone who has Googled it and seen it, I would say that it is even less worth it, provided how much work you have to put in to do it. So, if you want to experience what's up? Sorry, what?
Oh, go ahead. I
was just gonna say, if you want to actually experience the end of this game, do it on YouTube. Save yourself the time.
But yeah, after that was our cue. That we're like, okay, I think we're just gonna be done with rare games for a while.
Yeah,
especially rare games. But that was so rage-inducing when we were in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And to the point where I think both of us were about to throw controllers because it was unnecessarily difficult, for one, and two, like we talked about, the payoff is just not worth it.
No, not even close. And I'll give this to Rare because, I mean, Rare over the years has proven to be one of our favorite developers, and Rare is responsible for the most famous games hands down on the Nintendo 64, aside from, first party titles. But I mean, they did Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong 64. They did GoldenEye. I mean, Rare is such a top tier developer, and then they do, Sea of Thieves today, but back then they were top of the game. And they were also known quite well for in their platforming series to have very difficult or very creative, I'll say that, boss fights at the end. Like Banjo-Tooie, I think it was, or Banjo-Kazooie, with like the game show ending. Like that was great.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was creative as hell, but still kind of tricky.
Yeah, and even with that game show ending, when you think about it, that actually required you to have to pay attention to everything in the game
Yeah,
because it calls back to the most minuscule details about the game
yeah.
so far.
It's every time you would run into Gruntilda's sister, the Good Witch or whatever. She would give you a sentence with like one word in it or one phrase in it highlighted, and you had to remember that phrase and the context of that phrase. And this is also in days before, Google and what the internet is today. So if you didn't know that ahead of time to keep a notebook with everything written down, you couldn't, unless you had the guide, you were kind of stuck. So
That's what I was about to say is that those are back in the days of games being released with the official strategy guide.
yeah,
It's the softbound book, and it walks you through the game and there's a secret over here or yada yada. I remember I had two of those growing up. I had those for Ocarina of Time and for Majora's Mask.
oh yeah,
Yeah, those were a treat to say the least, because that's how I got good at playing Ocarina of Time in and of itself. Was just I would just read through the book, just read the book as I was going, and then as we covered in that episode, it got to the point where I know that game backwards and forwards.
yeah. Well, you are the resident Ocarina of Time nut here.
Yeah,
But this is also back in the days of, schoolyard discussions and like, there. I don't. Thankfully, I didn't have any friends that would say anything like this because it was you and me kind of going through it together. But it was like, if you were talking Donkey Kong 64 and you get some kid that's like, oh no, I got into the final boss fight without having to play the arcade games. It's like, tell me how. Oh, you just got to do this. It's like, it's like trying to find Mewtwo under the truck in Pokemon. They're all lies. But this is back in the days of that, and you're young, you got friends that are telling you false information to look cool and stuff. It's just drives you insane. But yeah, that I want to say is to this day the most rage-inducing final boss fight of any game I've ever played. And
I agree.
it sticks with me to this day mainly because I was still never able to beat it.
Yeah, and I'll actually put that up there with Chairman Drek from Ratchet and Clank, but we'll talk about that on another episode.
Yeah, we could definitely cover that game on another episode. Now, I never played the original release of it all the way through. I started playing the Ratchet and Clank PS4 release, which is also very, very good. But with that being said, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that on another episode. Anyway, continue.
All right. Now, I was gonna say, with that being said, how about we slap a rating on this thing and call it at that?
You got it.
All right. So, as with always, I mean, you're not only are you a guest on the show, but you're also an avid listener of the show. So you know how things work, and I always try to give the guests what we should score the game out of. So your call.
I'd say, do we want to rate this out of 201 golden bananas?
Definitely do that. That's a good scale.
Okay. So, bearing everything that we've talked about, the gripes being, the controls, the camera, just the backtracking, everything that we've touched on. But at the same time, with level design, music, just the overall feel and vibe of the game, and how you're able to seamlessly transport between worlds almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I would rate this game. I'd give it probably a 185 out of
Really?
201. Yeah, just because of the biggest things being the final boss fight. You were not told that you needed to have those coins, those special coins, until the very end. And not only
Okay.
that, just the caveats of, oh, you need to beat Donkey Kong twice, or you need to beat the Mars game or the Moon game, whatever it was, after achieving like a certain score. None of that was explained. So how, if someone did not have a guide, and this was pre YouTube, so it's not like you could just look it up, how would anyone have known that?
Yeah. All right. That's a
So
very
bear that in
generous
mind.
score.
Yep. So, but overall, like we've talked about, I have a lot of love for this game. It's a lot of fun, but those things in my mind are kind of unforgivable. So that's why I'm sticking with a solid like 185 out of 201.
Okay. No, that's fair. Hey, man, that's I know you got a lot of love for this game, and I respect that score. However, sorry, anybody that's my bird chirping. I think he wants attention. But I, on the other hand, am not going to be as nice to it. I can't. I just can't. Simply cannot. So I think my score for this game, given everything we've just talked about and the experiences that you and I have had with this game individually and together, I'm going to give this game a 135.
Okay,
And I
that's
understand
fair.
that that's quite low. And the reason why I take so many points away is because of a lot of the things that we've just talked about with the, requirements to beat the game and not to complete it, just to beat the game does do a lot of perhaps unintentional gatekeeping from it prevents a lot of people from being able to see the ending. It prevents a lot of people from being able to even see the last boss fight. So, because there's a lot of people who, accessibility wise, may be able to play the game in its state, but then maybe they're not able to play or comprehend what's going on with that old Rare arcade game or even the original Donkey Kong. It provides such an incredible roadblock for the player that I just don't see it being able to be completed or even beaten by a lot of people. Hell, we weren't even able to beat the final boss fight when we were like 19, 18 years old. And you and I are not bad gamers by any stretch of the imagination. It's that difficult. So, well, I think 135 out of 201 is going to be my final score. However, I won't go any lower than that because, like you said, the music, the theming, the nostalgia that we have for this game, and a lot of my score is given through rose-colored glasses. But
Right.
it is it's hard. It's unnecessarily difficult. It's unnecessarily long. And I will say for anybody who is contemplating playing this game, YouTube it. It's like, don't even bother. It's a phenomenal thing to experience in one way or another, but maybe not at your own hands.
I agree. There are
So,
plenty of guys out there that have played through it, and more importantly, have also 100%ed it. So if you're able to find one of those videos, well, not if you decide that you want to experience that, definitely check out like one of the like 101% runs.
yeah. And if you really want to experience the greatest things that this game has to offer, go on Spotify, look up Grant Kirkhope. I will actually provide his name in the description of this episode because I think more appreciation should be given to him directly as the what's it called, creator of all this music. Now, yeah. So with that being said, I think I got to put a wrap on this because my bird is starting to be obnoxious, and I do apologize for anybody listening to this episode who happens to hear him in the background. I don't know what to do. So, as always, thank you all so much for tuning in, listening to the end, if you did, and I really appreciate all the love. Nick, do you have anything you'd like to shout out? Any friends or any projects you're working on yourself? Anywhere people can find you?
Nothing right now. I mean, I can be followed on Instagram at Ryder3142. No real projects that I'm working on right now, just because I work a day job that's 14 to 16 hours a day, so they really doesn't leave me any time to really relax. Other than that, we're just trying to take it one day at a time. So if anyone wants to give me a follow, just reach out, say hi. I'd be happy to chat with you.
All right. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you joining me, and I love talking to you as always. So, thank you very much for coming on here. Yeah, of course, dude. And yeah, so with anybody, if there's any other questions, if you want to reach out to Nick regarding, anything about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, he's your guy. But that being said, again, I really do appreciate the listen. Please, leave me a like, leave me a follow, give me a rating on Spotify. I think we're still, well, I don't know when this episode's going to get released exactly, so I don't want to say any statistics, but you know where to find me. You can find me on Instagram, where I'm most active. Give me a shout, give me a DM, whatever. I always love to chat with everybody. You can find me there at The Bards of Gaming, or you can find me on Twitter or X, where I am significantly less active, but I'm still alive, at 2 Bards of Gaming with the number 2. And all links to my socials, as well as new merch and my email address, if you want to reach out to me that way, can be found at thebardsofgamingpodcast.com. So thank you all for listening so much, and see you next time. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, bye.